Welcome to Pommyinoz. I hope we're all doing really well. If you are new around here, please drop a like, please drop a subscribe. It does mean the world to me, and it does help the channel out. We're nearly at 1300. Who would have thunk it? Hey, a little boy from north in Australia, and you guys and girls love me prattling on about sport, which is awesome to hear because the footy brings us together. And today we're doing my favourite preview of the year, and that is Carlton Collingwood, the old enemy. And I just want to start off firstly, I have a lot of fun doing this. This is probably my favourite time of the year. I love playing Collingwood. Don't get me wrong, I fucking hate them. I can't tell you how much I hate them. But it's great that we get this rivalry going, particularly using the social medias. You saw me on Swoop, you've seen little shots fired and stuff, and it is great because that is what sport's all about. I love it, and I love being hated at times. It does get me off, to be honest. Now, the mob have beaten us, 5 times, really. And the last time we got it was round 7 in 2017, which seems absolute a lifetime ago, doesn't it? 2017. Shit the bed. Can't be that long. But things are going to change this week because right now they need a statement win. I don't count Adelaide and I don't count Fremantle as wins. And I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid because I don't think this will gloss over any cracks we haven't seen. But this game here and the way that Collingwood play is all about, and it is all about intensity. It's about being first to the ball. It's about taking away their strengths. Now let's talk about Collingwood. Collingwood have been really, really good. And I've got to say, I've gone through their stats and their improvement under Harvey is absolutely amazing. How they statistically have totally changed their game around. You've seen that. They're starting to be the number 1 handball side in the comp now, the number 1 play-on side in the comp. They have really got that 19, kind of like that glory years of Collingwood, what you know them for, playing a real fast brand of football. And I think what's exciting about that is Carlton, they play a fast brand of football when they're playing well. And this really, if you bring that into it with that emphasis, both sides suffer from tackles. Both sides are bottom 5 in tackle efficiency. And this is something where Carlton have got to go for. Really got to go for and really look in that. Because that comes from the heart. Tackling is all from the heart. Now you've got TDK versus Brodie Grundy, which I think is a really important matchup. I think that's going to tell us a lot. Because traditionally this year, Carlton haven't really fluxed their centre clearances. And what Collingwood do is they really look to change that. Because although Grundy ranks number 1 for hitouts, he isn't in the top percentile for hitouts to advantage. And what they do is Taylor Adams there, and Taylor Adams versus Patrick Cripps is going to be an absolute key battle for this. He's a master of sharking the opposition's ruck, and he's also the master of stopping you getting out. So you watch Taylor Adams, he's like a claw. And Cripps and Taylor are both types of players that get targeted, along with your Sam Walshes. And I expect to see Sam Walsh and Pendlebury run around a little bit together as well at some points in this game. I do think they'll take Ed Kerno, and I think the wise option is, even though we've been against it, is bringing Ed Kerno and playing him on the ball and playing him against Pendles. Because them two, when they link up, and as we saw against Richmond, they take the game away. It's going to be a really intriguing battle because I expect to see as well that when Walsh goes to the wing, and that's where we see him have a lot of work, he goes a little bit out wide. I'd imagine that they'll interchange Noble and Mundy with him. And Noble's a really interesting proposition. But really, what I want to talk about is these 2 slides here. And if you want to go and see some more of this, I've gone really in-depth this week for you. I've gone and shown you a really in-depth scouting report. So that's on the Blue Award website. The link should just be above me now, and it's also in the description. So please give it a look. Honestly, I'll spend my life here. Like, honestly, my marriage is going downhill because of these scouting reports. And here we are. This is the Collingwood scoring zone. So you can see it's quite interesting. Left to right is the way they're going on the screen. They really do impact the left-hand side of the ground more than anywhere else. And then they go down the right as their secondary option. And what you find is they attack the corridor. Now, the corridor is getting a higher percentile, but it's still the outlet ball. And what you find here is, if we show you the next slide, I'm going to show you why and where Carlton are going to really have to look out for this. So as the ball is coming down, say that's the left-hand side, I expect them to deploy Degoe a lot more forward. And you can see that that red hot zone there, what they're trying to do is they get it there and they use runners. Now you've got to understand what the zonal system is. The primary aim of this system, and it's one of the most resourceful if you want to change your transition and your attacking sets, is its ability that there's no set roles. So you're really guarding space. And how that is beaten invariably, and Collingwood do it, and you'll notice it this weekend, their forwards kind of running a trio, a triangle circle formation. I know that's a double negative, but imagine a triangle and they kind of rotate. And what you'll find is Cameron, he leads to the ball. And this is where Carlton's zonal system comes unstuck, because invariably forwards will lead into where Plowman and Jones are. Now, Plowman and Jones love to peel off their man and intercept. What that causes when Elliott drops back, and you'll see De Goey and Cameron go, Hoskin Elliott's run through there, Josh Thomas may run through there as well. So if the ball goes out the back in that marking contest, creates that one man out. And that's done really resourcefully, because I expect to see Majocek. He drops deep and Carlton will know this. Wheaton will roam with him. It's going to be a really intriguing matchup, because it's how you want to play. It's how you want to play. And I'd say that what we've got on screen there will be the matchups predominantly in that forward half of the ground. And it's really, really important that you communicate and you watch these dummy runs and you realise what they are. Because that's something that Cameron does really well, and it's something that Hoskin Elliott, when he floats from the midfield line, does. Now, what this does, though, to them is they do commit a lot of players centrally, and they set up to defend the corridor and their favoured side. Is that Carlton have got an outlet ball down the left-hand channel as we're attacking, which is where Sard operates. Now, that'll be something that Carlton will look to do, to get that really out there and then hit on the counter-attack on there, leaving Harry, hopefully one out there, with Jared Roughhead. But it's a really intriguing system, and I want you to watch out for it this weekend, because that is their strength. Now, we've mentioned him, Jordan De Goey. Jordan De Goey's in a massive bit of form, and what Harvey's done with him interesting is he throws him on the ball very early doors, and he's spending a little bit more time in the midfield, but you find that his best work at the moment is dropping from that left forward pocket and then coming out, and that's where they're deploying him, usually creating that awkward third matchup. Now, we saw Carlton do this early doors with Teague, deploying Cripps into the forward line, and this is what they're doing, and it really does cause havoc. But when they get him on the ball early, it gets him around it, it gets him feeling it. You see Richmond do this successfully with Dustin Martin as well, and his game has been really impressive, and he's going to be someone that's going to have to stop. Now, I expect Plowman to run with him quite a bit. He's kind of one of them players that I don't think they'll send Ed Kerno to, because once he gets the ball, I think if anything he's a little bit wasteful, and he looks to take the game on in kind of like the Jaden Stevenson vein, which was the criticism of him. But it's merely to get him on the pill. I think if they're going to send Kerno to anyone, I would suggest Pendlebury. Pendlebury's the guy that's kind of like their barometer of tempo. That is one huge change with Robert Harvey's game, is that they're a lot quicker now. They really do look to go. And that is kind of instigated by your Maynards, your Cripps, your Pendles particularly, in how they operate. Side bottom in that forward line as well, looking to be that lever. And that is the side that I expect to go. Interesting to note, I expect to see Jack Ginnivan play this week, and he's a very, very good footballer. Real turn of pace and real quick type footballer. And he's going to be someone that's going to be really interesting to play, because he's going to be one of them guys that traditionally when Carlton play against a structured forward line like Collingwood's, that does have a real, I wouldn't say antiquated system, but it has a known system. That's usually the one that makes us unstuck. That's usually the one that makes us unstuck, because we do forget about them. So it's going to be interesting. So watch out for him. He's a very good footballer. Now, what I would expect to see in the centre matchups is I expect to see Callum Brown go in there as well. Carlton are quite big-bodied, and what Callum Brown does is he uses the ball well, and he's another influence. Kind of has been playing a role a bit like Setterfield for us, but actually being impactful. And he's going to be a really interesting matchup there, because he's kind of that forgotten man there, and he uses it. And their rotations through that middle of the park, there is so many. Elliott floats through there. Chris floats through there. Thomas floats through there. They've got a lot of options. So it's going to be something that I expect to see Carlton really go small with SPS, with Stocker. I'd expect to see Fisher come into this one as well, because you've really got to watch out for that. And I think there's a real good opportunity here for Carlton to really win this game at the selection table and really look to bring in some of these smaller, quick guys to really have their matchups. Because really in this type of game, Carlton should have Majorchek covered and Cameron. Basically, Wheaterin and Jones should have them covered. It's more how when that ball hits the deck and also keeping that concentration factor going and not allowing them to take advantage. I do expect to see, if it was me picking the team, I'd keep Betts, I'd keep Fogarty, I'd keep Fisher in, I'd bring Fisher in, and I'd bring Nick Newman in. Now, I think if it was me personally, I'd probably bring Honey in over Zach Fisher, but I think they will go for him because he's a real good matchup for Josh Thomas. He runs all day, and when he's on the wing there, and I think he also gives Noble a bit of problems down that flank, and I would really pack out that opposite flank for them. We know they attack the right-hand side. I would be attacking the opposite side of that on the counter, and it really does help you out. And it's going to be that's going to be how you get them unstuck. Them early entries, they do take a while to set up defensively, and they do commit players forward now under Harvey. It's a very progressive game plan. We saw it really kill Richmond. So it's going to be a really entertaining game. Carlton have got to bring it. They've got to bring this pressure around the ball, around the centre clearances. We know that's where, particularly how they play, they do stifle the opposition's clearances. They're really good at sticking that in. If they do lose the hit out and it does drop down, they really do stifle you. And they also control the footy away, so it's taking away space. It's a real pure zonal system, this type of game, that how you beat them. But they also want that zonal system for their forward line. So it's really, this is going to be where we see. I keep criticising the forwards and the midfield for putting the pressure on. You have to take that space away, because how they move the ball out the back, it's really key. And I'll show you this one here, but just before we go, this slide. It's a really interesting thing. Now, this is their kicking habits, but this is also how they retain the ball down the back. And as you can see, they look for that short hit-up kick. It's making up really nearly 80% of the time they're looking for that short kick out the back. And that's where that forward pressure comes, because it works two ways. If you put too much forward pressure on and you drop too far forward, you leave yourself vulnerable out to the back to another continual kick. But what you've got to try and do is funnel it. Like we talked about Geelong, they funnel the channel of play. You know they're going to go down to their favoured side. You know, at all costs, Collingwood like that left-hand forward pocket channel. So you know it's coming down there. So you've got to try and encourage them to really take that switch and take it on and come backwards, which allows you to reset. The minute you commit too many players forward and leave one out the back, and you do what you saw against Geelong, where players are reluctant to follow the lead, suicide against Collingwood, because once Collingwood build, they get to about halfway and then it's go, 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 runners. So winnable game though for Carlton. I'm going to back him in this week. I think they've got it done. They're the keys to the takeout though this week. I want you to think of it. Really track down anyone leading, and we've got to lead as well. We've got to make sure that we're running with runners and really looking for them open spaces, because they take that away from the opposition. But the way they play, it's very compact. You can beat it by spreading it out wide. That's the preview. I look forward to being live with Swoop Luke on Sunday and seeing you all. We are in lockdown, so please get around it. We'll keep you company. We'll have a bit of banter. And always,